It's now father and son business in the conclave as Paudie blackmailed Andrew and he accepted. As Andrew put the cloak on, I wondered if Ben and Nick would attempt to banish Andrew at the next round table. Oyen still thinks it's Paudie, but I feel like less faithfuls agree with her, with Faye as an example. Oyen put on her perception glasses again, saying it will make sense for the traitor to blackmail Andrew as he was under fire. The editors were clever by immediately cutting to Paudie, as he was also at the breakfast table and heard this. This was one of the things I mentioned at the end of the previous episode as to why it was a bad idea for Paudie to blackmail Andrew. For a few episodes, Faye has been wondering if there are two people related or together. Her theory is that it's Patrick and Kelly, which she said to Amy in front of Paudie. Amy actually questioned Kelly about it when Kelly entered breakfast. It was evident Andrew and Paudie were laying the groundwork to throw suspicion on Nick because of the way they were talking at breakfast about Ben and Nick's plan. Nick clocked that both Andrew and Paudie used the same rip action. Nick was holding on to that and repeated his observation a couple of times in the day. As Andrew and Nick were talking at breakfast, Wilkin was stuck sitting awkwardly between them. It got me thinking about how Wilkin doesn't get shown much. It was something I briefly mentioned after the first couple of episodes, and it's still very evident. I know the other faithfuls mentioned in the past that he doesn't give names or ideas, so it makes me wonder if that's still the case. Instead of a standard murder, Andrew and Paudie had to pick 4 players to be put on death row. Before knowing who the list would be, I thought the traitors would definitely put either Ben or Nick on the list, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put both. I thought Oyen or Vanessa would also be put on there, along with Patrick. Knowing how faithfuls instantly think a traitor has put themselves on, I didn't think it'd be a good idea for Andrew or Paudie to put themselves on there. Plus, if they did put Patrick on, it would help with the narrative that Patrick is a traitor. Well, I was right about Patrick, but completely wrong about everyone else, as Christine, Joanna and Mark were the ones put on death row along with Patrick. Something I noticed during the mission was why was Paudie already walking in what ended up being the correct direction while Nick was reading the first question? Did the traitors already know the answers? The others didn't notice it as they were all looking at the paper along with Nick. I had to keep checking to make sure it was actually Paudie and not some local who just happened to be wearing the same coat and also had grey hair. The winning team voted to save Christine, which meant she won the shield, leaving Joanna, Mark and Patrick left for the traitors to decide which one to murder. This worked out for the traitors. Mark would have been an option for the other team to save, though I think 1 or 2 from the losing team might have also wanted to save Christine. I felt this was Mark's last night, as he would be murdered and Patrick would be banished. The narrative that a traitor put themselves on death row was circling, and I don't know why no one was challenging that assumption. A lot of the times the traitors don't do it. If any of them had watched previous versions like UK Season 2, then they would know how unsuccessful that strategy actually is. It wasn't even just those that weren't on death row that thought it, as Joanne and Mark both thought they were trapped with at least one traitor. Before the round table, Andrew and Paudie got a chance to talk alone. 2 things that Andrew made clear to Paudie: if they come for Andrew, don't do anything, and that Paudie should have blackmailed Nick instead. While I thought either way that Andrew's days were numbered in the game, he could have gone out a faithful if Paudie chose differently. In my video on the previous episode, I said Paudie blackmailing Andrew was a silly decision. I'm not sure I agree with Andrew that Paudie should have blackmailed Nick, only from the point of view that Nick would possibly be a potential winner, but that might not necessarily be the case now, after Ben and Nick's plan at the previous roundtable. Now Nick is a good candidate for the traitors to keep putting suspicion on. The roundtable was mostly about Andrew and Patrick, so it looked like Andrew had a chance of escaping banishment. The roundtable vote ended up being tied between Andrew and Patrick, so we had a revote. I didn't think anyone would budge on their votes, so I was already trying to work out who would be the unfortunate person if that happened, and everyone had to vote for anyone except Andrew and Patrick. I thought Patrick's plea was very weak, and I thought he might not convince anyone, and was fully prepared for Patrick banishment until Andrew spoke.
I am a faithful. I have been trying to get traitors out of this game, and yeah.
That was quite a slip up from Andrew, and I was wondering if anyone caught it. It's not the only time he's made a slip up. There were no comments from the others when they voted about this slip up, so they either didn't catch it, didn't think much of it, or if someone did, it was cut out. Joanna was the first player to change her vote, but she wasn't the only one. Both her and Wilkin changed their vote from Patrick to Andrew, while Vanessa changed her vote from Andrew to Patrick. With no more changes, Andrew was banished. which meant Paudie needed to blackmail again. If he wants a fall guy, then blackmailing Patrick would be in his best interest. He would be stupid to pick Patrick for murder because he would be the next name up for banishment. If he doesn't blackmail Patrick and he's banished as a faithful, we could see faithful eyes turning back in Paudie's direction. The smart move would be to murder Mark. Mark is a very perceptive player and he has the trust of all the faithfuls. Now we just have to wait to see who is blackmailed, will they accept, and who is murdered. Every version I watch it varies who I want to win. Sometimes I want the faithfuls to win and sometimes I want the traitors to win. There is the odd time where there are players on both sides that I would want either to win. With this season it's very much I want the faithfuls to win unless my favourites become traitors. Mark and Owen are my clear favourites. There are one or two that might be some way behind them, but I need to see how the next couple of episodes play out.